Hello everyone, welcome back to Grow Roots. This is Shannon and welcome to my September 2024 backyard garden tour. I am so happy about the way that some things look, and some things are a little bit scorched and not doing as well, and so I will take you through the backyard garden and show all of it to you on this beautiful morning with the sun coming up over there. So here we go. Let's begin over here where I usually do, and this is one of the corners of the garden that I am just so incredibly pleased with. The first thing that captures my attention, and I'm sure yours too, is this is Mr. Goodbud Sedum. Very similar to Autumn Joy Sedum, and it is coming up in those blooms. Let me tell you, this is its first year in the ground. I got it last fall on clearance, so it's not even 1 year in the ground, and it has struggled just a little bit in this spot, but it's massive. It's such a champ. I know that sedum doesn't like a whole lot of water, but yet I put it in this corner for the main reason that it is a salt tolerant plant, and this corner, like, one of my dogs just loves to go to the bathroom in that corner. Whatever plant is planted there has got to be able to be tolerant against the salt that's in the urine and all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, sedum is famous for that. But one thing I did think about this, but I wanted to see how it did, is this gets overspray. So the grass sprinklers come on, and then also the garden, irrigation comes on. And so it kind of gets double watered there. And I know sedum does not love that. And that's why you kind of see, like, the leaves don't look amazing, although it is a champ, and it has been forming these buds for quite a while. Actually, it's been looking like this for probably about a month now, and I've been wondering, like, are they ever going to open up and turn pink? But they are starting to. And so I imagine for the October tour, y'all are going to see this vibrant pop of hot pink. It's going to be amazing. Let me see if I can find the tag for you to show you. This is what it looked like. Oh, look at it. Something seriously ate a hole in the tag. What? I don't know. Anyway, this is the vibrant pink that you're going to see once all of those beautiful buds open. But for now, it's still amazing. I'm so pleased. What a beautiful pop of color in the fall when everything's kind of starting to go dormant. And that was absolutely another reason why I got that plant as well. So happy with it. And I think I'm going to be able to propagate more pieces of it and put it elsewhere in the garden in maybe drier spots too. Move on to this pillar of morning glory that I have. Look at that little bumblebee just enjoying his breakfast. Oh, I think this is so cute. This is one of my favorite things to do, is watch them go inside these blooms and look at their little behinds as they go in there. Oh my goodness. And there's honeybees all over this as well. So this, believe it or not, is one of those shepherd's hooks that is supposed to have a hanging planter on it. And it did have a hanging planter of supertunias on it earlier in the season, except that the morning glory overgrew it. It's insane. And I'll be quite honest, this is wild morning glory. It actually originated back here, and I've had it pop up in this garden for a couple years, and I've just picked it whenever I saw it because I've heard y'all say that it's invasive and don't let it come up in your garden or you're going to regret it. I've called this year the year of the vines, and I'll show you why. Like, I think you can see I have vines all around back here. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to let it go any year to see what happens, why not let it be the year of the vines and let's see what it does with this shepherd's hook. I think it's gorgeous, y'all. I love it. All season long, it has been this beautiful pop of pink. Out of all of the vines that I have grown this year, this has been the most prolific bloomer for sure. And it's native to Texas. It's natural here. Like, I didn't plant it here. And it's only growing here. That's the only spot that I've allowed it to grow. And I will say that I've had to come in here, like this bottom part, the morning glory will creep into all of the rest of the garden and it will try to take over all of the plants. So I've had to go in and just rip it. You know what I mean? Like I just go in and grab it from the bottom and I rip all of it out. And that's how I keep it from overtaking all the other plants in the garden. But another thing that I will say too, after I did a little bit of research after this was already formed, I did find out that they kind of tend to steal nutrients in the soil from the other plants. And I think that might be what's going on here as well. So I may not allow this any longer. And I'm a little bit scared to see what happens next year because these guys form seeds and, you know, like rhizomes under the ground. I mean, honestly, it's popped up in a few places. I've just picked it. It's not been a big deal at all. I have Virginia creeper going on back here. I even have maybe a little bit of poison ivy that comes up here occasionally. So I have other vines that try to creep up just like the morning glory. And to me, it's not a big deal if you can stay. I'm just out here maybe once a month kind of going through things and pulling them up. It's not a huge project, but I am a little bit worried with seeds and allowing this to grow so strong. Like the roots are going to be growing stronger. The rhizomes are going to be stronger, more prolific next year. So I'm a little bit concerned, but I have been able to really enjoy this, and the bees have enjoyed it. The butterflies have enjoyed it. And let me tell you, the hummingbirds have enjoyed it as well. I have seen quite a bit of hummingbirds on this as well. And I don't regret it now, but I'll bet you next year this time I'm going to be regretting allowing this to grow, but it's so beautiful. So moving on, let me show you, I have a border plant that's planted down here, and it is Dwarf ruellia. And this is a morning glory, but this is the ruellia. So it's actually kind of similar. And here's another ruellia bloom. There's quite a few that are spent and then quite a few that are coming up. It started, oh, there's some, and there's one. So it's so cute. This is a really cool plant, y'all. It has, goodness, this is again, just 1 year in the ground from last fall, last October. It has, like, especially this plant, this is now like 6 or 7 plants, this one plant here, and it's just like multiplied. It has bloomed pretty well. I think it's a little more shaded with that morning glory up above it. It doesn't get that morning sun, especially right here, that it should. But and again, this plant can actually take some shade. It's a very shade tolerant plant. This is just a really tough plant. Look at that, little bumblebee was going to enjoy that and then decided to go on the morning glory instead. Oh, it's so cute. I love Dwarf ruellia. And then I will pop this stuff elsewhere. I'm getting ready to just like divide a lot of perennials. I'm getting ready to start propagating the sedum. Lots of exciting things happening because the temperatures are getting a little bit cooler, and in the fall time it's the perfect time to do that. Moving on to this plant right there, this is candy corn spirea, and oh, see, there's a little bit. Oh no, this is actually a different, I'll talk about this vine in a second. That's creeping up in there and I don't want that. So let's get that out. But anyway, candy corn spirea. This gets about 3 feet by 3 feet, and it's getting a little bit of new growth. I absolutely love it because the new growth is red. Can you see that? It's so cute. It doesn't put on new growth all season long. In the summertime, it kind of stalls. And then in the summertime, this is its first year in the ground. So do you see all of this? This was actually what happened. In the summertime, it defoliated a bit. It got kind of stressed. And then do you see those leaves? Oopsie, it came off. Those leaves got a little bit of chlorosis, if you can see, and burnt edges. And so the middle of my plant is kind of defoliated. And then here's all the growth that happened since it started getting a little bit cooler. It's so funny, but this is going to be deciduous. It's going to shed all of its leaves in the fall, and then this is going to be one of the very first plants to emerge in my garden. And when it emerges in, I think, February, honestly, like mid-February, it's all gonna be bright red, like even brighter than that. And it's gonna be like almost like this, y'all. Do you see that? That is going to be all over this plant, that bright red color. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. Some of the first color that we will see in the new year. So moving on to all of this that you see all down my back fence. I called this the year of the vine. I really just wanted to experiment with all kinds of different vines. I wanted to see this fence covered in vines. I wanted to see this shepherd hook covered in vines, and I wanted to see, I have it's an archway, but it's square over there covered in vines. And then of course, those back there have been covered in vines for some time, but I'll talk about all of them each individually. So I have 3 annual vines planted on this fence, and the one that you see that is the absolute most prolific back here, this is purple hyacinth bean. Unfortunately, my purple hyacinth bean vine, I probably have, I don't know, I have at least 10 of them growing. They didn't flower for me. I'm so bummed. There's so many people in North Texas showing absolutely beautiful pictures of the purple hyacinth bean, and it's blooming, and mine do not. And this is full sun back here, especially what's on this trellis right up there. That is full sun for the most part. It's 6 hours. I mean, it's borderline full sun, but it's 6 hours of sun, and they're not blooming. And then I have them planted in really all types of soil conditions, from really good, rich soil to like not the best soil, all along this fence, because there are portions of the garden that just, I've noticed the soil is not as great. And so over time, it'll be fine. But these are fairly new garden beds, like 3 years old, 4 years old. And so anyway, I don't know why my purple hyacinth bean vine isn't working. I've fertilized some of it, but not all of it. I've fertilized, like, that's what I mean. I'm growing so many different plants, and they have so many different conditions. I thought at least one of them would bloom for me, and then I'd be able to find out what works, but none of them bloomed. So I don't know. If y'all have any ideas, let me know. But I've heard the whole, like, fertilize it, don't fertilize it. I've heard full sun, but these do get 6 hours of sun. I've heard, especially over there, I've heard, what else have I heard? All kinds of different things. I feel like, the rich soil versus not rich soil, lack of water versus lots of water. We've had all of that, to be honest, and I still don't see a single bloom. I'm kind of bummed, but it has been super prolific. You can see that's mostly what you see covering this, and then covering my trellis. Like, wow, it's taking off. It's absolutely beautiful. I still love it for the leaves and the purple stems. It's still really, really beautiful, and I love that it gets very vigorous after it gets hot. It can withstand the heat pretty darn well. So I do love that. So the 2 other types of vines that I have back here is black-eyed Susan. I'm pretty sure that's what this one is that tried to get into my spirea. And then this one that you see with those 3 lobes, that is a blue pickety morning glory. Now those vines back here have not flowered very well either. So I don't know. I'm not really sure what's going on with the vines back here not flowering. I mean, obviously the morning glory loves it, right? Or the wild morning glory loves it. But the blue pickety morning glory, I have seen a few blooms on the blue pickety, just not right now. And then the black-eyed Susan vines just have not flowered for me back here at all. But it is what it is, and it is gorgeous, and this is my vision of having this completely covered in vine, and so that's fine. Down here is the part of the garden that doesn't look amazing, and the biggest reason why is right here. Chloe, that's Chloe. Say hi. She's our backyard garden cat. She chose us about last November. She was a stray, but somehow she was fixed already. So someone, I think, left her here or dumped her. But anyway, she's our outdoor cat because I'm extremely allergic, and you see me scratching on her. I have to wash my hand. But anyway, she stays outside, and she is the best, sweetest cat ever. Oh my word. We provide her some shelter in the winter so she's not too cold, and she gets fed and watered and all of the things. And she's just so sweet, huh, Chloe? Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Here's a little lime hydrangea. And you can see it has completely defoliated, almost. Here's what's left of one bloom it tried to put on recently. And then I've got all of this new growth on it. So it's alive, it's fine. This is it again, its first year in the ground there. Last year I had a big limelight hydrangea and it lasted a few seasons planted there. And then last year's crazy hot summer took it. It fried. And so one last chance in this spot for a limelight hydrangea, just because this is the center of this garden bed. I really want that to be big white blooms, really beautiful. It's full sun, but I don't know that any type of hydrangea is going to be able to take that, even panicles. We'll see what happens with this little lime. It is still alive. It's hanging on. It just creates a bare spot in my garden right now because it struggled this summer. But one thing that did not struggle and actually is super prolific and doing amazing, this is so pretty. It's a ground cover. It's called Plumbago serratus stigma. And just look at those beautiful blue blooms. It's true blue and it's a fantastic ground cover, y'all. It withstands the heat. It blooms during the heat. I have another one over there. It just creates this beautiful pop of blue color underneath any of the flowers that you could possibly have in there. It's just, oh, I love it so much. I want more of it, to be honest. But this is just two plants, one right here and one right there. And they, this one spread all over here and this one spread all right here. I probably want to plant another one right here and another one right there so that I could just have this all as ground cover in this area. It's awesome. Right here, I have a Echinacea purpurea, not currently flowering, but it's doing just fine, gonna start going dormant. What you see right here, oh my goodness. These are giant cactus mix zinnias. So let me show you this guy. This guy's almost spent, but look at that giant bloom, and then this one is as well. These are almost spent. I had to stake these guys up. They were crazy flopping all over. So I finally staked these guys up and I thought about taking them completely out. Let me get you a new view. Because as you can see down here, there's no foliage whatsoever because, here in North Texas, the zinnias, the foliage will get brown and crispy, especially towards the bottom, the older foliage. And then, this is about the time to start pulling them out anyway here in North Texas. However, I thought I'd give it one last chance after I staked it up because all of this is looking so great. And it is. It's reblooming for me. I'm going to try to show you. Look at this. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's been so beautiful. It's been my most prolific zinnia. Oh, look. Oh my goodness. This is my hand. Y'all, it's as big as my hand, at least 3-inch bloom. There's a pink one. There's some yellow ones up there. And then some of them are like this. They're not they have more of that center and, but look at the color on that. It's so beautiful. So some of them are double petals. Some of them are not. But it's been, I think, my favorite zinnia that I have grown to date. Really, really beautiful zinnia, and I'm kind of glad I didn't take them all out because they, despite what they look like down there, they look pretty amazing up here, especially with the vines in the background, and they're kind of intermixing at this point, and we're getting towards the end of the season. I'm just going to allow that to happen. I want to come back down here and show you, this is a white swan echinacea, and yeah, this one is completely spent. I'm gonna leave it for the seeds and all of the things, but that's what you see there. And then down here is my my Sweet William, I should say, that's still surviving. I'm going to pop a picture on the screen of what this looked like in the springtime, and it was the most spectacular pink blooms I've ever seen in my life. Most spectacular. Oh my goodness. So I will be trying to grow Sweet William from now on in the spring. You just can't beat it, to be quite honest. This was unbelievable. But unfortunately, all of my Sweet William seedlings that I grew this year died in the heat, and so unless this guy and another one in my front garden survive and bloom again for me, which they're biennial, so they may not, I'm not going to have these beautiful blooms unless I can find it in a nursery. So we'll have to see, because my seedlings are not, they're not doing so well. They died. And then I have some vinca that are planted right there. And then I just noticed this. Chloe, you are just being crazy. Get out the way. Right there is a ton of, Chloe, I need to show them. A ton of vinca seedlings are right there. And then, you know, this is the plumbago ceratostigma I was talking about. This is a zinnia that I think was a dreamland zinnia. I haven't been... The dreamland zinnias are getting zigzaggy for me. They're growing up, and then they're flopping, and then they're growing, and so they're creating these zigzag plants that I'm just not fond of, but I do love the petals. That's about to start blooming again. But that was a dreamland zinnia. And then right here is a coreopsis. It has not done well this summer. I think it's struggling. I think coreopsis should be doing amazing in the heat, and that's why I bought it. It is kind of a native type of plant, and it bloomed really, really well for me in the spring, early summer, and then mid to late summer is when it started really struggling. And you can see I deadheaded all of them, and then now those are turning brown, and then under there is turning brown. I'm just not sure about this coreopsis. We'll see. But that's what that is. And let's see what else I may have missed. Let's see. I will say this. I also had one other type of zinnia, and I've already pulled it out. It was peach Cinderella, and I had one planted here, and I had another one planted over there, and I'm going to pop a picture on the screen of that as well. I have never been more disappointed in something I've grown from seed than the peach Cinderella zinnia from Park Seed. I'm just going to say it. The flowers are supposed to be double petal, and then they're supposed to have this like cute little pop in the center, kind of like this, but much bigger, okay? And it's supposed to be this like cute little peachy like fuzz ball, and then the petals. That is not at all what I got. I didn't get a single flower that looked like that. And as a matter of fact, all I got was a very leggy zinnia that had very tiny pink flowers on it. Like super leggy, 4-foot stem that flops, and then a super teeny tiny little flower head on it that was single petal, pink, very light pink, and no like center to it at all. So disappointed. So I will not be getting those again. I have tossed them. So I did want to point out really quick, you will see a lot of containers here on my back patio. I'm going to cover those in a container garden tour that will probably come out next week. So look for that. But in the meantime, I'm trying to stick to the garden. Right here, I did have a Supertunia Bermuda Beach and a Supertunia Fuchsia. So that's why you see two little bald spots right here. Those are done, and I pulled those out. And then let's see if you can see that. Right over there is a peony. I don't remember which peony it is. If I can get it up, I'll pop it up on the screen. But it is dormant right now because of the heat. And it does get, well, it didn't get as much sun this year, did it? The purple hyacinth bean vine is shading it now because it's growing over here. And then the zinnias kind of overtook it too. So it didn't get as much sun this growing season. But peonies, their time to pop is in the cool season, and then in the heat they kind of tend to go dormant here in North Texas. It is only its second year in the ground, and I'm hoping maybe next year will be the year that I will see its first blooms. So we will see. And I apologize, you see some grass popping up back there. I haven't had a chance to go back in that area and weed. You'll also see some zinnia seedlings. I think I see some zinnia seedlings popping up. And the black-eyed Susan vine is going crazy back there too, it looks like. It's so crazy. And then I have another Echinacea purpurea plant over there as well. Again, it is dormant, but still very much alive and green leaves and all of the things. So I'm just gonna keep that there and let it ride out the rest of the season. So there is that Echinacea plant that I just pointed out to y'all. This is the purple hyacinth bean vine. Now see what it's doing, y'all? It's growing this is probably 2 to 3 feet away from the fence, and it's trying to overtake my desert rose right here. Again, stay tuned for the container garden tour. I will cover that. But I have to be careful about the purple hyacinth bean vine coming all the way out here, 2 to 3 feet out, to try to take over. So just FYI. And it's also going out into, this is a beautiful, this is a creek back here. The Louisville Lake watershed is back here, all protected area. So I will never lose this view. It's just an absolutely beautiful view of all kinds of native trees and native plants. Redbuds are right here. Texas, Eastern Texas, I think, redbuds. Anyway, there's all kinds of things that add to our beauty back here that I have no, I don't have to take care of them, but I get to see them every day, which is so awesome. But the vines are kind of even going back there. You can you see that purple hyacinth bean vine over there? Oh my goodness. I just now realized that. That's like 6 feet away, y'all. At least 6 feet away, and it's out there. Oh boy. Okay. Coming over here, nothing is planted down there except, the Echinacea plant. Oh, let's see. Actually, I haven't seen it in quite some time. I have a pink lamium ground cover that was down there. Let's see if it's still there. No. The lamium is pretty much gone. I think you can see it way down there. Oh man, that didn't survive. The Echinacea got super floppy and flopped over it, and then the purple hyacinth bean, like it didn't get any sunlight down there at all. So, okay, well, it is what it is. And then right here, I have a sapphire indigo clematis and there's actually a jasmine vine here too. But what you see right there is the sapphire indigo clematis. And honestly, I don't have any blooms right now, and something's eating the top of it, probably grasshoppers. But it has been, oh, there is a bloom. Hang on. It has been blooming in the super, super heat, y'all. I cannot believe this clematis. I really just thought I would enjoy blooms when it was cool. But look how sweet. And they usually are a little bit bigger than this, but that's pretty shaded down there. So I am so, so pleased with this clematis. Also, if you prune it back, like I need to go in and prune probably this top piece, to be honest. Anything above this is what I think I'm going to prune off, because you can see it's kind of getting crunchy up here and getting eaten. But anyway, here's new growth. So every time you prune it, you get new growth and new blooms, at least for this plant. And so it's been awesome. Just so you know, this is jasmine. I do have Confederate star jasmine that's growing back here as well. That's kind of mixing in, and that is okay. And then down here, to begin this season, I also had another pink lamium, and it died back here. This is a tough spot right here, honestly. Like a lot of things that I planted here have died. As you can see, like now that I have the vines, it doesn't get a lot of sunlight. It's hard to get water back here, the irrigation. So it's tough. But the one thing that has survived is the purple hyacinth bean vine. Like it's planted, one of them is planted right there. And it's doing just fine. So, I mean, these things, they'll grow anywhere. I just couldn't get it to bloom. So let me see if I can move back. Okay, here we go. Whew. Now I have my Texas sage. And I have had this Texas sage in the ground since this garden began. So since 2020. And look, oh, it's all budded up. So it's telling it. going to tell us that we're going to get rain. This is also known as a barometer plant. When these bloom, it's pretty accurate, y'all. It really has been accurate. When these bloom, it tells you that rain is close, like in the next day or a couple days. And it's actually full of buds. I will say, I pruned my Texas sage for the very first time last spring, because before then it was not blooming very well for me at all, like ever. Just very sporadic, like not full and covered with blooms like a lot of them are. And so I pruned mine in late winter last year, and this year has finally been the year that I have seen it consistently bloom when it is telling us there's going to be rain. And it's much more covered in blooms than it ever has been before. So I really love this plant, y'all. It's like silvery foliage, but it's super, super drought tolerant, heat tolerant. That's why they call it Texas sage. It just does amazing here in Texas, and it looks so beautiful when it's in full bloom. I can't wait to see that. I may do another video just on the Texas sage when this gets in full bloom again, because there's buds everywhere on this plant right now. All right, so I'm just right next to the Texas sage, and I'm about to go into the garden. But before I do, let me show you this sunshine ligustrum. Oh my goodness, this is one shrub right here, and I keep saying this, and I, like, on our neighbor pages, like, I am always the one, like, people always look for shrubs that are going to be evergreen here in North Texas, heat tolerant, for the most part, like frost tolerant, you know, when there's ice and stuff and snow, something that will survive that. And honestly, sunshine ligustrum is it, y'all. It's just, it looks like this in the wintertime. Any new growth is going to get frostbitten, but for the most part, it will survive like our super cold temperatures. It will defoliate just a little bit if we get into like zone 7 temperatures, but zone 8 temperatures, which is what we are, it thrives, absolutely thrives. And then this is tree formed down here. I did that last year, and I'm so glad I did, because it opened up so much room down there. Otherwise, it would take over my entire back garden right here. Honestly, it would. This plant is now probably 6 feet tall. I'm up on my patio, which is quite a few feet up, and it's still almost as tall as I am up here. Once I go down there, I'm only 5 feet tall, y'all. I'm very short, but it's about a foot taller than me, I'll bet you. So I think it's about 6 feet tall now. Again, in the ground since 2020, and it is just a rock star shrub. Highly, highly recommend sunshine ligustrum. I'm coming down here so that I can show you. This is a little bit weird because I'll explain in a second, but this is Mystic Spire's blue salvia, and this is one plant. This poor plant. Okay, so right here we have a family of raccoons that comes into our garden from right here. I don't know why they choose this spot to come in. Maybe because it's, you know, not as, you know, overgrown as other areas of my garden, but they come in here and they try to get our Chloe's cat food every single evening. If there's cat food out, we try really hard not to leave anything out, but sometimes she doesn't eat all of her food, and so it's out, and at night this family of raccoons comes in. Therefore, my dogs also think that this is a safe spot to go in and out because they like to chase the raccoons. And so this poor Mystic Spire's blue salvia has been knocked over many, many, many times. And so it finally, like, this main stem just laid down and was like, okay, fine, I'm just going to stay here, but I'm still going to bloom and I'm still going to be alive. and then it shoots up new shoots. It's just crazy. This is such a cool plant. So this plant is a lot of shade. And so I'm here to tell you that Mystic Spire's blue salvia can withstand shade. It's just not going to be as prolific of a plant as it would in the full sun. But look, it's still even blooming in the shade, y'all. We're underneath the sunshine ligustrum right now, the tree-formed sunshine ligustrum. Oh, here's a branch that shouldn't be there. But, and it's blooming. So I'm gonna pop a picture up on the screen of my full sun. Hi, Chloe. My full sun Mystic Spires blue salvia, and it's just this monster of a purple flowering plant that's just unbelievable. And to be quite honest, you could grow this in the shade and you would still be happy with it. It's so beautiful. As long as you don't have dogs and raccoons trampling over it, you're good. But look at this. It's just, again, this is not even a year in the ground. This should be perennial for us, especially since it's in the ground. And I just absolutely love it. Mystic Spires blue salvia, y'all. You could grow it in shade or sun. It just won't be super, super big in the shade. I've got Confederate jasmine growing down there. I have ajuga, burgundy glow ajuga, growing underneath my sunshine ligustrum. And we'll make our way to that part of the jungle in just a moment. But I just wanted to let you see like underneath the sunshine ligustrum too. I do need to go in every once in a while. I need to go in and prune these little branches off because they do kind of try to come back. But otherwise, I mean, it takes that, you know, hardcore trimming like a champ. And here's another thing I just realized. I'll bet you Chloe's using this as a scratching post. Look at that. Something is scratching up against this, and it's still like just as great as it always is. Chloe, did you do that? Did you do that, Miss Chloe? I think you did, you little stink. Oh, I need to push my way through this jungle back here. Oh my word. Wow, I need to prune back this sunshine ligustrum. Whoa, Chloe, do not get underfoot because I can't see you in this jungle. Okay, so here we go. Here's another Texas sage. And again, I've got vines overtaking it. Down here, ooh, we've got multiple things going on. Okay, let's see. Right here is an actual limelight hydrangea. This was a free plant. I propagated this last year and popped it in the ground in the fall. This is a much more shaded type of area because the sunshine ligustrum can't even grow over it. I've trimmed back the sunshine ligustrum, and so trying to see what the best spot for a limelight hydrangea is. This one has done amazing. This is like almost 4 feet tall here, and it did bloom, but only once. So there's the difference. So panicle hydrangeas, I don't know that they can take Texas full sun, especially if we have record heat summers. But at the same time, they can't really, I mean, they can take shade, they just won't really bloom in the shade, which is to be expected for something that's supposed to be in full sun. So it's difficult, but I do still love it, and it still adds a beautiful touch here. And then I have more echinacea. I have about 3 echinacea plants planted right here. They got crazy too. I'm about to potentially take the echinacea out. They're too tall back here, and it creates this like jungle like this is too, and it's hard to navigate back here. Oh, look. Okay, I'm almost stepping over it, but you can see this, whatever this plant is. Let's see it. Okay, so this was my milkweed, and it fell over. I have a milkweed pod with some seeds. Yeah, so that's just kind of flopped over. That's interesting. And then, ooh, this Texas sage is actually starting to flower. We're going to get some rain. Yay. This one has not been a prolific bloomer. This one has kind of struggled. It is not as big as my other one. But I probably will, I haven't pruned it because it has naturally pruned itself. Parts of it have died off. And so anyway, there's that. And there's what those beautiful blooms look like. Can you imagine the other one just completely full of these? It's going to be so gorgeous. Okay. And then over here is pink muhly grass. That's what it is. I had a hard time thinking of the name. Again, this was planted last fall. I'm not sure this is the best spot for it. Not enough sun, and it should be starting to bloom pretty soon, but we'll see because it doesn't have enough sun. So I don't know. I don't have any other full sun environments that I think I could put that in. So I'm not sure I will keep that plant. I may take it up and give it away. We'll have to see. And then, okay, so back here is more of the vine craziness. This is one teeny tiny little plant that started out last fall. It was teeny tiny. You can see the trellis that it was on. And then this is coral honeysuckle. It has grown prolifically all the way. How long has it gone? It's gone. Here it is. This is my longest branch, and I'm probably 8 feet away from this plant at least. So it's just growing, 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 and then it's growing. I have a little cheap trellis for it to grow on back here. Growing, growing, growing back here. I did see it bloom a little bit in the spring, but I haven't seen it bloom since. So again, I haven't had the best success with blooming with my plants, but it's okay. Over here, I have canna lilies, and they're getting taken over by the purple hyacinth bean vine. I'll show that to you in a minute. Yeah, haven't had the best flowering year for my canna lilies. I'm not exactly sure why, and then I've had a lot of the leaves browning this year more than any other year in this location. I have others that are great, but for whatever reason in this location this year, they're not doing as well. And maybe the purple hyacinth bean has taken its nutrients, I wonder. Because this is the first year I've planted a vine that has survived right here. And, ooh, here we go. Okay, so purple hyacinth bean vine is planted here. It's growing up this trellis here. And then once it gets up here, it just takes off. Look, oh my goodness. So this is a square trellis. It's actually a water feature. The water feature is not working currently, but the purple hyacinth bean vine has officially taken over. I have a beautiful little butterfly thing that's hanging from that, and you can't even see that from the front anymore because the purple hyacinth bean vine has just taken over. It's going on to this tree that's in that back creek area. Look at this. Okay, I've already pruned this once too, y'all. Otherwise, it would be completely covering even this opening. So, woo-wee, it's a rock star, I guess. I just wish it would bloom for me. That would be the best thing ever. But it's planted there as well. And then right here, this is a Midnight Marvel hardy hibiscus. And kind of just done for the season, to be honest. Oh, I do have one bloom that's starting right there. But otherwise, I mean, it gets attacked by grasshoppers. Something has made it flop this way. I have a feeling it's my puppy. She goes back here even though she knows she's not supposed to. So it's kind of flopped over a little bit. Doesn't get as much sun back here, especially with the purple hyacinth bean vine. So just note to self, if you're growing vines next to full sun plants, just know that the full sun plants may not get as much sun when you have your vines next to it because the vines take over. It's kind of just how it goes. But it is a beautiful plant. It does give me beautiful red blooms. Oh, there's another bloom that's starting right there. And there's another one right there. Okay, so it is starting to rebloom for me. That's good. It hasn't bloomed for maybe a month or so in this dead heat. So, yeah, I'm going to come back up here and I'm going to show you this part of my garden next. Okay, so we're back up here, and I just wanted to give you this view of the purple hyacinth bean vine on that trellis. This is a view from, my porch, and it's just spectacular. I really do love it. It would be amazing if it was blooming, but I'm going to take it for what it is. It's still absolutely beautiful. And again, those are my canna lilies down there. I have more down there. Those struggle too. They don't get as much water down there. It's honestly not irrigated unless I hand water it, which sometimes is every day in the heat, but it still struggles a little bit. I may take out these canna lilies, y'all. I'm thinking maybe they're just done as a perennial, and I may just want something different for there. I haven't decided quite yet. Now, here are, I hope that you can see them, this Tangerine Beauty crossvine, one of my favorite tough rock star plants. Out of all of my vines, This one is my favorite, and it is perennial. It comes back every year. As a matter of fact, it's evergreen. Oh, this is going to be really cool. Look at this. These are blooms, and then the sun is behind them. Look at that. So there's blooms on that side. My neighbors get to enjoy a beautiful wall of blooms as well. Let me just show them to you. Oh, look at this. In the springtime, this is covered in these, y'all. It's covered. And after its first initial bloom, the rest of the season, it kind of just sporadically blooms. And when the weather is cooler, like it is now, okay, let me say this. Our weather is actually, it's going to be 98 degrees today. However, we're finally getting into the 60s and 70s at night. That's the difference. It is a huge difference for plants. I have learned this. If you live in Texas, for about 3 months straight, we don't get below 80 at night, y'all. So we do not cool off, and the humidity is terrible. So it makes it even hotter. So the plants really struggle with that. So the blooms that it does put on, the Tangerine Beauty Crossvine, in the summertime when we're so hot, the blooms, they don't look like this. It's really funny. It's kind of all yellowy and spotted, and they don't get big like this. It's so funny. It's like it's really struggling. It's like, I want to bloom for you. I really do, but it's just too hot. So here's what you get. It's just not great. But now that it's cooled off at night, even though it's going to be 98 today, these blooms are just spectacular. And I'll show you a couple other ones that are coming on it as well. But this will be evergreen. It kind of turns this like purpley color in the winter time, but it will stay evergreen. And then let me show you these other ones. You know, all throughout the season, like I said, you get to enjoy these beautiful blooms. It's heat tolerant. It's drought tolerant once it's established. It's evergreen here in Texas. I have more blooms. It blooms all throughout the season, even though they're somewhat sporadic. I don't know what more you could ask for a vine in the state of Texas where it's so hard to grow things. It's just, and this is only their second year, y'all. This is their second growing season, and this is how amazing they look. So I can't recommend Tangerine Beauty Crossvine enough. All right, so my last section of the garden, this is a part shade/shade garden that is only 1 year old. So the soil is still not amazing. You'll just see. So by the way, I have Zinnia right there and a vinca right there. And then the zinnias must have just like seeded themselves, because if you see all of these little seedlings down there, these are all little zinnia seedlings that are coming up, which is kind of cool. I'm going to try not to step on them. The other thing that you're going to see is they're not, I guess you could call them weeds, but I'm allowing them to grow. All of these little pops of vines that you see with these cute little rounded lobes, that is a native yellow passion vine. And it just, for whatever reason, it grows prolifically back here. It is a host plant for the Gulf fritillary butterflies. And when I decided to make this garden bed, I took all of that passion vine out, but it leaves like really deep rhizomes. So I'm telling you, it's pretty invasive, to be quite honest. But last year, I was on top of it, y'all. I picked all of this passion vine as soon as I saw it. I'll show you a better picture of it. There it is. And then I felt so bad. The Gulf fritillary butterflies kept coming back here, trying to lay their eggs and realizing that their host plant was gone. And I saw that happening, and it just kind of like really hit me. I took their breeding plant away. This is what their caterpillars eat. They need this to survive their life cycle. So halfway through the season, I started letting them grow again, and they were able to breed and get their caterpillars out and all that kind of stuff. But I told myself this season, I'm not going to let it take over back here, but I am going to let it grow. So what you see back here of all of those things, that's their host plant. I'm allowing that to grow specifically for the Gulf fritillary butterflies. Okay, so I already told you these are zinnias, really beautiful. Vinca is going well. What is not going well is this, and I'm so surprised. This is Everillo carex, and this is supposed to be like a really great tough plant, and it just has, after winter time, it is not really, it's struggled. It's It's still its first year in the ground, but I don't know what I'm doing. And yeah, I can see that something's eating it. I have grasshoppers like crazy back here. So I wonder if the grasshoppers are just eating it so much that it can't come back. Because look at all that. It's being eaten. I'll bet that's what it is. That is a bummer. I'm thinking about taking this out of this location and putting it in a pot, either back here in a more shaded area or on my front porch, because then it'll get a little bit of sun, but it'll be beautiful if I can keep it alive. So I am going to move this. I have decided. Right here, growing up kind of voluntarily, is my canna lilies, and these are the ones that are doing just fine. They're really pretty, actually, when they're blooming. Look at that bloom. It's a beautiful, beautiful bloom. See, these are doing just fine, and I don't have a lot of yellowing on the leaves or browning. But my other canna lilies just are not, and I don't understand it. I'm going to show you other canna lilies that don't even get water at all, and they look better than the other ones. So it's so interesting how things work in the garden. Coming back here, I do have a peony right here. This is a part shade environment, so this peony actually is doing pretty well. It doesn't look anything like the other one. A little bit of chlorosis going on. Like I said, I need to add nutrients. These guys are going to get a couple inches of compost and new mulch this fall. So that's coming. And then, look at this. This is insane. This is Greg's mist flower. And it flopped. So it's actually planted right here. And then my puppy probably did it because she keeps jumping back here to explore this garden. But the Greg's mist flower flopped, and then it started just growing right here, which is fine. I'm just going to let it do that. But it's given me these purple blooms almost all season long. In the dead heat of summer, it kind of stopped blooming, but these are just absolutely beautiful. It's going to be covered pretty soon because it's budding up like crazy. Now, what I'm hoping for is that the queen butterflies will see that this plant is here and come during the fall. There is like a big symbiotic relationship between Greg's blue mist flower and queen butterflies, and this plant is new to my garden, so the queen butterflies have not found this plant yet, but when they do, this plant's going to be covered in queen butterflies. It is a huge queen butterfly attractor. It has to do with their mating and pheromones and all kinds of things. I'll explain it maybe once I get it covered with queen butterflies. So stay tuned for a video about that. But so far, I haven't gotten them back there. They haven't discovered this plant yet, and I can't wait for them to discover it because I really would love to see the queen butterflies just all over this plant. But it's absolutely beautiful, and it is Texas native. It is heat tolerant, drought tolerant, all of those things as well. So it's really, really awesome plant. If you see one, pick one up because they're awesome. Down here I have purple wandering Jew or purple tradescantia that I started with just a few cuttings from my mother-in-law last year, and then I'm wanting this to be kind of the border, you know, for this whole area. So I've spread cuttings all back here. They are amazing, to be quite honest, and they have cute little purple flowers when they do bloom. They're kind of cool, but I love the foliage color, and so yeah, really love that. Again, here's my cannas. I'm going to take these out. I don't want those here. I want this to be more of a low growing thing, and those were volunteer, and I let them go, and then they multiplied like crazy, and I regret doing that, but I will be taking those out. Here is a peach colored daylily, beautiful. Back there among all of that yellow passion vine is an amaryllis called Rapido amaryllis. Beautiful, beautiful red blooms. That's actually the baby. This was the mama plant that I planted one spring ago. So not this past spring, but the spring before. So it's been in the ground for one full year, and then it had a baby. So I planted that last fall. I'm going to go see if there's any babies over there for me to spread elsewhere too, but they will bloom in the springtime. They will survive our winters. It's marginal, but they survived last year anyway, and they're just unbelievable. That is Rapido amaryllis. One thing you can't see because the silly cannas are over it is a boxwood. And again, I think I'm gonna move that boxwood. I think this whole area, to be honest, maybe I'll transplant the carex over here. I don't know. I want this to be like Daylily, Amaryllis Central, maybe, because they're great heart shade plants, both those. And I don't want that boxwood there anymore. I think it's kind of out of place. So we'll see what happens. This is going to get overhauled a little bit. And then right here, this poor plant. This is a rose mallow. White blooms when it can bloom. What's overtaking it now, though? So before it was a problem of grasshoppers. This is my grasshopper sacrifice plant, let me say, because the grasshoppers just love this plant. And so I've been kind of just treating it like, okay, I can't get rid of the grasshoppers, so let the grasshoppers take this plant. But now something else is definitely, does that look like spider mites maybe, or bacterial infection? White fly, powdery mildew. I think it's powdery mildew, y'all. What is that? That's like something right there. Okay, so this plant has something else going on other than grasshoppers. I feel bad for it. It just, it's beautiful. It still blooms through all of that, but this time of the season, I think it's just going to go dormant because it's stressed. So, yeah. Under here, this ground cover is purposeful. It is variegated Vinca major. One cutting last year, by the way. I should put more back here because I have variegated Vinca major in other parts of my front garden, but that's that. And then I have some, just a flat of bougainvillea was planted back here in between my endless summer hydrangeas. So I have, I have 6 endless summer hydrangeas that are planted here. My vision is that they will get big enough to just create a whole hedge of endless summer hydrangeas here. But for now, this is just their second season in the ground and they're chilling. So I have that one that is doing like lots of new growth on that one. And then this one, there were a few of the blooms that kind of got fried a little bit. But otherwise, they were just fine. What happened was we had a problem with the irrigation, and I didn't notice it until 2 or 3 days later. And so the blooms that this one had at the time just all fried because of it, because it wasn't getting enough water. And they bounced back just fine. It's just the blooms. There's a few of them that are fried, but a few, I mean, it rebloomed after that. And then I was having a problem with chlorosis on these plants, and I was hitting them with chelated iron, all of the things. But what helped the most, I'm going to be honest, I started hitting these with coffee grounds really, really consistently, like saving all my coffee grounds and then, you know, adding it to plants one by one. And that's what did the trick, actually. There's still a little bit of chlorosis on the old growth of some of them, like this one. That's what I mean when I say chlorosis. It's just a nutrient deficiency, iron deficiency. And so that one had it, and then this one a little bit. But anyway, coffee grounds was the trick for me. And then I'm so glad that I picked up a flat of the, not bougainvillea, begonias. I don't know if I said bougainvillea before, but they're begonias. It's just a random multicolored flat, and they just did beautifully back here in this part shade / shade environment. So that's what's kind of growing all through here. And again, like purple heart, tradescantia cuttings are planted, more endless summer, more begonias. Let's see, right here is, it is struggling just a little bit. It's a Brunnera. This one is Queen of Hearts Brunnera. I got this earlier in the season when Callaway's had like a perennial sale, 30% off. And it has gone back and forth between struggling and not struggling. Like, you know, like I said, we had an irrigation problem. This tube got unhooked, and so they weren't getting watered for a few days. It really struggled during that. Oh, look at that bee that's on there. That's interesting. Hi, Mr. Bee. And just the fact that it's in the ground, like I planted it in the spring. It had to survive a very hot summer, or a hot August, I should say. Very, very hot August. It's just kind of now coming back and saying, okay, I'm okay. Look at all that new growth. So I think it's going to be just fine. And then right here is another one of my peach daylilies. Some more begonias are there. And then right over here is my pink Turk's cap that's finally blooming and doing well, putting on these beautiful pink blooms. It's all budded up back there. Here's some more. I love this plant, but this was just planted last fall, and I tell you what, this took forever to break dormancy. I think the pink Turk's caps take a lot longer than the red Turk's caps. That's been my experience, like on my Facebook groups and stuff. The pink ones, for whatever reason, take a long time to come out of dormancy, but once it did, it really kind of, it was fast, like a hibiscus would be, you know, hardy hibiscus anyway. And so it's just now really starting to flower at the end of summer. Oh, there's one of the spent blooms. So pretty. I love that little like yellow pop that comes out of it. That's so cool. But anyway, so happy with the pink Turk's cap. I can't wait for it to kind of just get bigger and bigger, fill up this space with beautiful pink blooms. And I hope maybe next year, since it's more established, it'll come out of dormancy earlier. We will see. And then moving on to this guy, who is now almost 4 feet tall. This is my dwarf Alice Oakleaf hydrangea, and I absolutely love it. This is its first year in the ground. I planted it last fall, and it did not flower for me in the spring. I had a feeling it had been like pruned right before I bought it, which I bought it in the fall. They totally pruned all of the blooms off. They totally did. And that's what I think happened. So I'm really excited for next year to hopefully see this bloom. Thank goodness the HVAC turned off. I'm sorry about that, y'all. But anyway, I really expect this to start blooming next year. And in its first year in the ground, it is 4 feet tall. So that's fantastic. This was just a bitty thing. Like, it was a third of this size when I planted it in the fall. And just look, in one growing season, what it does. It's not even fully established yet. It's amazing. And then down here, like, as you can see, I had a little bit of a fungal / bacterial infection in this. And that's when I switched to drip tubing instead of overhead watering. And that did the trick, along with some fungicide that I just sprayed it like twice with the fungicide. And I think we're good. All of this growth up here is absolutely fantastic. So can't be happier with that plant. This plant is going to get taken out. I've tried it for a full year. My sweet neighbor, gave me this plant because she wasn't super happy with it either. But this is Kaleidoscope Abelia, which I've seen Kaleidoscope Abelia. Here it is. In its beauty in other gardens, and it's just a fantastic plant. Here in part shade in this location, it's not happy at all. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to plant it somewhere else. I'm not exactly sure where. Is this, I think it's also evergreen, semi-evergreen to evergreen, perfect for borders. Okay, so, and it only gets like 3 to 3.5 feet wide, 6 through 9. So I'm thinking in zone 8 it should be evergreen. So anyway, yeah, this is gonna get transplanted in the fall. Right here is Mexican petunia. So again, this was just this little bitty fall start last fall. So it's definitely its first season and just trying to get established this season, but it's finally blooming for me. These will start blooming in spring, but for me, it did not start blooming until midsummer. I've got some more blooms here, and I want this. I mean, a lot of people say that it's invasive. I want it to kind of be invasive back here. I want to just see a whole forest. I mean, I don't want it to overtake the oak leaf, and I don't think it will, but I want to see just a ton of this with purple blooms. I think that would be so beautiful back here. And I think that it thrives in part shade as well. So yeah, that's doing great. And then this is what I was talking about. I put like my old, like, I put my canna lily bulbs that I had dug up to thin out the rest of the spaces. I just I just threw them back here, y'all. Those aren't even like dug in the ground necessarily. Their roots will just shove into the soil and they will take over these canna lilies. And see, these aren't even getting irrigated and they're green. I can see I had some canna leaf rollers here. That's fun. It's a type of caterpillar. But anyway, these are green. These are looking even better than the ones that get water. So it's so weird. So interesting. Hi, Gummy. Somebody let you outside. This is Gummy, our puppy. She is 6 months old now. She is ginormous, y'all. She's like 58 pounds now. Super tall dog already. You say hi? Hi. What you doing? You're a little stinker, aren't you? Miss Destructive. Oh my goodness. So there you have it. That really concludes the tour. I'll just take you back up here. I just want to thank all of you for sticking with me through all of the areas of my back garden. Yeah, stay tuned for sure for that container garden tour, because I have lots of containers up here, some of them looking amazing right now, and I'd love to share those with you. So that'll come out in about a week. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you liked what you saw. I put on monthly garden tours of both my front, my backyard, and my containers. And I do the front and the backyard all year round, as well as some other videos that I put out about the plants that I love and all of those things. So thanks for watching. Love y'all. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.